Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of 100 Yards of Running, Week 15. The playoffs is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm getting right into these games. The 49ers and Rams. Now, one thing about low scoring games, I love low scoring games because it can go either way. The Rams, however, becoming the better team, beating the 49ers by a score of 12-6. I said it was a low scoring game. And it was absolutely that, a low scoring game. But LA making their playoff chances, improving their playoff chances, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, improving their playoff hopes and improving their playoff chances to be dangerous in the playoffs. Sunday, we had the Giants going one-on-one with the Baltimore Ravens. This game, whoever watched this game should have saw this coming. The Ravens did what they're supposed to do. I know the Giants had Tommy DeVito coming back, but it wasn't enough for Lamar Jackson, and the Baltimore Ravens did what they're supposed to do in MetLife Stadium, beating the Giants by a score of 35-14. An impressive win for Lamar and the Ravens. Sad to say for the Giants fans, the Giants lost another home-breaking loss at home, making them 0-8 in the season, improving their chances to possibly get a quarterback or a coach in the draft. Let's see what the Giants can do in the draft. The New York Football Jets going in Jacksonville this weekend in Jacksonville, Florida, playing host to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game was going back and forth. This game was going either way. Howsoever, and this was a shocker to me, ladies and gentlemen, in the second half, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams decided, hey, let's see if we still have that Green Bay connection. Unfortunately, with Jacksonville, they did that, and the Jets got a win this week. Yes, I said it. The Jets got a win this week by a score of 32-25. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams went off in the second half, and they got the job done in Jacksonville, improving their season to 4-10. It's too late to start winning because you haven't won a game since October, but now we're in December and you're not making the playoffs. So, Jets fans, hopefully that the Jets can get a coach that they can rely on. Well, whether they keep Aaron or not, let's see what the Jets are going to do next season. You know who else is not having a good season? The Dallas Cowboys. They played the Carolina Panthers, but unfortunately, the Panthers could not get the job done at home. The Cowboys was too much for them. And the second half, and the Cowboys went in there in Carolina and beat them by a score of 30-14. I get it that they didn't have Dak. Dak is out. Y'all not making the playoffs, like I said. Y'all might as well move on from the playoffs. Get better next year. Get Dak. Do you keep Dak? Do you keep certain players that you got there now? Let's see. But it's up to y'all. But for me, if I'm Mike McCarthy and if I'm Jerry Jones, move on for some of those players and get your guys up to par on the defensive and offensive end. Maybe y'all could be a playoff team next year. You know who is a playoff team this year? The Washington Commanders. You heard me. They played host to the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. This game, like I said, I love low-scoring games. The Saints put up a fight. Unfortunately, they lost a couple of players. Kamara went out with an injury. And Jaden Daniels went in there and put up a couple of points. Unfortunately, the Saints tried to come back in the end, and the Commanders held them down and pulled it off in the end, winning by a score of 20-19. Like I said, these low-scoring games could go anywhere. These low-scoring games could go wherever you put them. Like I said, any team can win any given Sunday, and we saw that this week. The Bengals hosted the Tennessee Titans, where Joe Burrow is trying to prove to himself and to his team that, hey, we could be a playoff team too. But you played the Titans and you beat them by 10 points by a score of 37-27. Joe Burrow hooking up with T. Higgins, hooking up with Jamar Chase, getting a couple of touchdowns in the second half, holding his team down, making it possibly be a wild card in the AFC. We'll see. There's 3 games left after these games, and the playoffs is set, and I'm excited, and it's stacked. Now, the red hot 12-1 Chiefs hosted the Cleveland Browns, where Chiefs fans got scared in the second half, where quarterback Patrick Mahomes was scrambling in the third quarter and went down with an ankle injury. Now, Mahomes' status for this short week, it is right now day to day. He's going to take time to rehab that ankle because, like I said, the Chiefs got a short week, and I'm going to talk about the week that they have coming up. It is a really, 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 really short week in Kansas City, ladies and gentlemen, but they got the job done, holding it down, beating the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland by a score of 21-17. You know who else is improving their playoff hopes? And we're going to see him on another short week. We got C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans playing host to Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Now, this game could have went either way after the Dolphins decided to part ways last week with wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, they wasn't really using Odell. Odell just, he got the bag for this season. What team is going to sign him next season is to be determined, but the Dolphins felt that it was in their interest to part ways with Odell Beckham Jr., so he is no longer a Miami Dolphin. Unfortunately for this game, for the Dolphins, Houston was too much. In the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, C.J. Stroud hooked up with Nico Collins for a 5-yard touchdown, taking the 20-12 lead, and it stayed that way throughout the game. And Texans improving their standings in the AFC playoff picture, beating the Dolphins by a score of 20-12. Now the Broncos, and we're going to see them this coming Thursday when they play host to. I'm going to get to that Thursday. I think they play the Chargers, and it's the Chargers against the Broncos. That's who's playing. The Broncos got the Chargers coming up Thursday, but they played the Colts on Sunday, and Bo Nix is improving each and every week. We see him improve to be that quarterback that could be a threat in the future. He could be up there with the Allens or the Mahomes or the Burrows. We'll see. But being coached by Sean Payton and positioning this team to be in the playoffs is amazing. After cutting ties with Russell Wilson last year and bringing in Bo Nix, after bringing in Sean Payton to coach your team, it simply amazed me what the Broncos is doing in that organization, and what they're doing is they're showing like, hey, it's our time too. We here. We could do this too. They got the job done, beating the Colts, and let me get to a play that the coach, Jonathan Taylor, you running the ball in the end zone. You got the touchdown. Do not drop the ball before you go in the end zone, and you dropped it out of bounds. That's a no-no. That's a diggerhead move. The play was reversed. It was called a touchback to where the Broncos just kept putting up numbers, and they got the W. Moving on, the Arizona Cardinals played host to the New England Patriots, where Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. was tearing up that Patriots defense all game long, winning by a score of 30-17. Kyler Murray, where is he going to be next year? Who knows? Now this game right here, coming up right here, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills going into Detroit, playing the number 1 seeded NFC Detroit Lions at home. Josh Allen, he deserves MVP right now. Because if you could last week putting up a 40 piece, this week putting up a 40 piece, nobody expected Buffalo to be doing what they are doing in the season. And Josh Allen is positioning his football team to be a dangerous football team in the playoffs. Now, will the Lions be dangerous in the playoffs? Yes, they will. But the Lions losing players all season long and not starting off fresh and not starting off fast like we used to see in the Lions start, Buffalo said, hey, we want to position ourselves to be in the playoffs. I commend both of these quarterbacks for putting up 40 pieces. Unfortunately, Buffalo put up more than Detroit did, and Josh Allen went in there and got the job done, beating the Detroit Lions in Detroit by a score of 48-42. Josh Allen, you got my vote to be the MVP this year. Because if you putting up numbers like that, my friend, that is simply amazing to see what you are doing in the National Football League. You know who else is impressing me? And a lot of people has been ragging about this quarterback for a long time. Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is positioning themselves to be in the playoffs. Can they go far? It's on them. But they went in LA and played the Chargers and destroyed them by a score of 40-17. He was hooking up with Mike Evans. They got Buda Baker coming back, rushing all over those guys, running into the end zone for touchdowns. That week, it was not the week for the Chargers. Y'all got the Broncos coming up this week. Hopefully, y'all can bounce back and prove me right. Be that playoff team that I know y'all could be with John Harbaugh coming in from Michigan last year, and y'all doing y'all thing. Continue to do that, and we'll see what y'all can do from there. Moving on to another game that interests me this week. We had, and I was giving him credit all week, and I wanted to see what he was capable of and what he can do. We have Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Philadelphia, taking on Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, some of these teams, when you go inside their house, they get hot. And Philly is one of those teams. This game right here, now Jalen Hurts was getting criticized all week for saying, oh, he can't get the ball to his receivers. Even his receivers was getting at him and was like, bro, just give us the football. Give us a chance to show our talents and go out there and show what we can do. They did that this week. Pittsburgh, unfortunately, y'all didn't get the job done this week. Y'all played the Eagles. It was a battle of Pennsylvania, and the Eagles got the job done, winning by a score of 27-13. Russell Wilson, it was tough game. It was a tough game for him. I mean, if I was Mike Tomlin, I would have gave both quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, the opportunity to keep me in the game like this. If you're battling for position in the playoffs to be one of those top teams instead of a wild card team in the playoffs to get home field advantage, this was the game to do that. Unfortunately, they failed to do that this week. And Saquon Barkley and those boys in Philly got the job done this week. Sunday night football. We had Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks hosting Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Now, for my players, for my fantasy football playing people that is watching, and you want to look at these stats, and there's certain players in the NFL that you need to bet on. Watch what the Packers are doing. I would put Josh Jacobs, the running back for the Green Bay Packers, on my fantasy team this year. Because what he did to Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday night was just brutal, ladies and gentlemen. Let's call it what it is. It was brutal. It was unexpected. And they beat them 30-13. Geno Smith And this is why the Jets and the Giants and every team that had Geno let Geno go. Because once Geno is under pressure, 7 sacks in the game is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And if you put pressure on a quarterback like Geno Smith on a team where his defense ain't that good, look what Green Bay did to him. Jordan Love is on fire. Josh Jacobs is on fire. He's one of the leading running backs, leading the league in rushing this year. And he showed that this week. And it was simply amazing to watch. Monday night, we had not one, but 2 games on. The first game of the night, we had Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears going into Minnesota, hosting the Minnesota Vikings. And shout out to Minnesota, one of their players and one of my favorite players and wide receivers of all time, Randy Moss, is battling cancer right now. Shout out to him and his family. I hope Randy gets through it. And this goes to anybody who's battling cancer. Keep on fighting. You're not alone. I know it's a tough battle, but it's a battle that y'all got this. And Randy, he's been a player that I grew up on. Like I said, he's one of my favorite of all time wide receivers of all time, and I grew up watching Randy Moss. So when I heard that news, it kind of hit me a little bit, and to see a player like that and his talents suffer something like that in any sport, it's tough to battle. So I hope Randy get through this. And the Vikings were in there and dedicated that game to Randy Moss and did what they were supposed to do in Minnesota, getting the job done, winning by a score of 30-12. Now, this game was worse than that. When I was watching it, it was 28-6, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the Vikings was just putting up points after points. Sam Darnold, and I said it, Sam Darnold this year was amazing. I don't care what nobody say. You can rag on me. Oh, he wasn't doing that with the Jets or where. Sam Darnold and that coach in Minnesota, he should get coach of the year. Because who expected the Minnesota Vikings to be 12-2 along and be a threat along with Philadelphia, along with Kansas City and Buffalo and et cetera, et cetera. The Vikings went in there and got the job done. And to be 12-2 and to dedicate that game to a great, and like Randy Moss, it was emotional to see. And they went in there and did what they were supposed to do. Now, the second game, I wasn't that impressed with. Because let's face it, I've been saying it all year long. Kirk Cousins is he's not going to lead the Falcons to the playoffs. He's not. Why did you draft Michael Penix Jr. and you're paying Kirk Cousins all this money? You played the Raiders last night in Vegas. Unfortunately for the Falcons fans, I got the job done last night. Raiders, to not have a quarterback, to not have the players that used to have on that football team, to only put up 9 points is unacceptable. Of course you're going to lose to a Falcons team points. They wasn't that great last night either, but they got the job done. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, next week, we got some games to talk about. Starting Thursday night, we got the Broncos going to LA, hosting the Chargers on Prime. That's a game to be watched because both teams, like I said, are positioning themselves to be in the playoffs. Who would have thought the Denver Broncos would be 9-5? That's amazing. Saturday. We got 2 games on Saturday. And starting at 1 o'clock, I'm going to be excited to see this game. We got C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans going to Arrowhead to play the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Now, The stat is like I said earlier in the show, Patrick Mahomes is listed as day to day with his ankle injury. Will Mahomes be able to bounce back and play this game? We'll see. Because also that on that game, we got two important games. We got Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Baltimore, and we love this rivalry. I've been watching this rivalry since I was a kid, and every time these two teams play, I get excited and I get glued to my seat. Saturday, this week Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, we get Steelers, Ravens. If that's not huge, I don't know what is. For all you football fans, including myself, that's seen this rivalry, the blossom, the way it is, from Ray Lewis to Ed Reed to Roethlisberger to Jerome Bettis, I can name you a few players. That's how long I've been watching this rivalry. I'm excited to see what it's going to be when these two teams play off. We got Steelers, we got Ravens. Christmas Day, ladies and gentlemen, Christmas Day, we have two games to tune in on Netflix. I hope y'all tune in. We got Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I said the Steelers got a short week, and they do. They got a tough task. They also going to Arrowhead to play against the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day. Ladies and gentlemen, these are exciting games to see coming up. Also, on Netflix, we have two teams that is positioning themselves to be in the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. And both of them is 9-5. We got Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens going to Houston. Is Houston going to stand up? Because they're playing C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. This week is going to be crazy. And speaking of crazy, hearing these great coaches, being the coaches that they are, being the fact that this man has spent 6 seasons, more than that, I don't know how many seasons he's spent in the NFL, but it's been more than 6, to finally get a coaching job in college. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about Bill Belichick. It was announced this week that coach Bill Belichick, the former coach of the New England Patriots, will now be coaching the University of North Carolina. When I heard that news, I think it's amazing for that school. I think it's amazing for college football to have a coach like Bill Belichick going in there to coaching these young men. You heard me, young men, to go into the NFL and be talented and to get a school like North Carolina to make them an NFL caliber talented school with players to be the best that they could be is amazing. North Carolina got an amazing coach and Bill Belichick, and I wish Belichick well. You know who else I wish well? A quarterback that I've been watching also since I was a kid, finally getting his coaching dreams in college football. That's right. Your boy Michael Vick is doing big things. Moving up in the world, your boy Michael Vick is also going to be coaching in college football. And that's big news for college football, to get a great quarterback-minded coach like Michael Vick, also to teach these young boys, young men, to go out there, to teach them awareness on the court, to teach them what to do on that football field is simply amazing. So congratulations to Michael Vick. Congratulations to Bill Belichick. Two coaches that might turn those two schools around in the SEC. Man, What a big week we got coming up. I want to thank y'all for tuning in with me to vibing out with me each and every week. Stay blessed. I know Christmas is coming up. I know y'all excited for the holidays. But like I said, we got two games coming up on Christmas on Netflix. So if you don't got Netflix, make sure you subscribe to Netflix now because you do not want to miss these two big games. We got Steelers Chiefs, we got Texans Ravens, y'all. Those are two big games coming up on the week of Christmas. That is week number 17 coming up. But week 16, we got some also big games coming up. Man, we got the Eagles and the Commanders, and the winner of that game, I mean, the Eagles position themselves to win the NFC East. So that's out the window. But Washington, to go in there to prove that man. But that is breaking news. Michael Vick, I just spoke about that. Congratulations to Mike Vick. Mike Vick doing big things, getting that Norfolk State job, and he gonna turn that franchise around. He gonna make them boys play like men. We probably gonna see the next Travis Hunter or Shador Sanders, y'all. We don't know. But like I said, those two coaches and Bill Belichick and Mike Vick going into those schools and accepting those coaching jobs and coaching these boys, doing something that they love to do and playing this game of football that we all love to watch every week. I thank y'all for vibing with me. And before I get off in the air, I got to do this, y'all. I do it every week. Worst quarterback of the week, y'all. Guess who getting it this week? You know who getting it this week? Quarterback for the New York Giants. I don't care who you are or what you do. Giants fans, if you're listening to me, Brian Dable, should we keep him? Should we let him go? It's to be determined. That team needs a quarterback because you got talented receivers over there. I see bright things in the Giants' future. All they need to do is get a quarterback. That's it. You got Malik Neighbors. Wandale Robinson, he is not a bad receiver. He's a great slot. Then you still got Darius Slayton there over there who could also be a threat. Get a quarterback. Now, if I'm the Giants next year, if it doesn't work out in Minnesota, if I'm the Giants, I'm knocking on the door trying to get J.J. McCarthy because who knows? Who knows? Only the future can tell for the New York Football Giants. Like I said, I want to thank my fans this week for vibing with me on this week 15 edition of 100 Yards and Running. Tune in next week. We might have something special coming in. I might have some special guests coming in week 16. Vibe out with your boy, talk football. But we got 3 games left going into the playoffs. I want to thank my viewers for viewing, tuning in, and vibing with your boy. Much love to y'all. Peace and respect. I'm out. Enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Peace and love.